So let's get on to chapter number 7 of Froyen, which is the Keynesian system, policy effects in the ISLM model. Before beginning this very lecture, we should be very thorough with few concepts. Number 1, how to derive the IS curve, how to derive the LM curve, what makes them look steeper or flatter, what are the factors that determine their slope. And the last thing is, what are the factors that can shift them rightwards or leftwards. If we are thorough with these things, then this chapter is a cakewalk. Very simple. So let's begin. First of all, we'll be seeing factors that affect equilibrium, income and the interest rate, and number 1 is monetary influence. That basically means money supply. So what can cause a shift in the LM schedule? This should be either way obvious. It is the increase in the quantity of money. This chapter is not about what can cause a shift in the LM. This is about what effect it's gonna have onto equilibrium level of interest rate and income. This is the crux of this very chapter. This is what we'll be studying here. Either way, we know when money supply increases in the economy, LM curve will shift rightwards. Why exactly would it shift rightward? This is not the point of concern right now because we have already studied this. We'll be studying one more thing, one new thing now, and which is this, the what exactly are going to happen now. So money supply in the economy has gone up, LM curve has been shifted rightwards. Now what? As per this very diagram, it's been clearly visible to all of us that the moment LM curve shifts rightwards, interest rate falls, income goes up, and this is what happens. But why? Alright, so we have to explain this thing now, but let's just try understanding this thing intuitively. When money supply in the economy goes up, alright, what will happen? Money supply exceeds money demand. This would put a downward pressure onto the rate of interest. But why? Because at the given rate of interest, either way, money supply is more than the money demand. So how to re-equilibrate the money market now? By doing what? By increasing the money demand. How can we increase the money demand? When interest rate falls, speculative component of the money demand goes up. This is point number 1. So interest rate has fallen. This gonna have two impact. Number 1, speculative balance of the money demand would go up. Number 2, because of fall in the rate of interest, investment in the economy would increase. And we know investment is a part of aggregate demand. And to be very precise now, what will happen? Aggregate demand has gone up, equilibrium income in the economy will go up. This is why income has gone up from Y0 to Y1. Now when income in the economy goes up, what will happen? We know transaction balance is directly proportional to the income in the economy. So the moment income increases, transaction balance component of the money demand also goes up. So what exactly has happened? Few things have happened. Because of increase in the money supply in the economy, rate of interest has fallen. This has put upward pressure into the speculative balance. So money demand has gone up, only one component. But at the same very time, because income has gone up and that has put upward pressure onto the transaction balance component of money demand. So all in all, both the components of money demand, that is speculative balance and transaction balance, has gone up, and this is how again money market is in equilibrium. This is the crux. So while writing your answer, do not just end up writing increase in the money supply causes fall in the rate of interest and increase in income. Try answering the why part as well, that because of increasing money supply, interest rate falls, that leads to higher speculative balance, and because investment also goes up, that leads to higher income, and that also leads to higher transaction balance, and that's how money market is again into the equilibrium position, and we arrive at point number B. Alright, although it's not been explained here, but there are certain few things that we should be knowing, but again, let's just not complicate the things and let's not deviate from whatever we are studying. We are following Froyen, so we have studied what this is. Effects of increase in the quantity of money we have studied, that's it. So what is the effect? Basically, increase in money causes increase in income, that's it. So it's a good thing indeed. Now let's get on to the next point, which is the real influence. Real influence means that is not something related to money. Basically, IS curve we'll be talking about here, that is investment and saving. Or yes, basically investment and saving, and in case of investment there is government expenditure component also, and in case of savings there is tax component as well. So real market we're talking about here. So how would it be impacting the equilibrium level of income and interest rate in the economy? So let's just study it now. Here we'll be seeing effects of an increase in government spending. So we know so let's just proceed as per the diagram first. We have the LM curve here, which is right here, upward sloping. We have the IS curve here, which is right here, downward sloping. And that's how we got point number A herein. Interest rate is R0 and income is Y0. That is it. Now this IS has been drawn based on G0, government expenditure component. What if there is an increase in government spending? So definitely IS curve would shift rightwards. Why? We have already studied why. Let's just proceed as per the new things now. So what will happen? Ideally, as per the diagram, first of all, we can clearly see rate of interest has gone up, income has gone up. We are at point B. This is what has happened. But why? First of all, we have seen that actual increase in the government spending is to the tune of from here till here, but increase in income is not to the tune from Y0 to Y1 hash, rather it is just to the tune of Y0 till Y1. Why? Because of crowding out. What is crowding out? When government borrows from the economy, the rate of interest increases, and that drives out the private investment, because we know private investment is not autonomous. It is dependent onto the rate of interest. Higher the rate of interest, lower would be the private investment. And when this happens, the increase in income would not be the full extent of increase in the government spending. That's it. Because aggregate demand comprises of investment component as well as government expenditure component. If G is going up and I is going down, then either way increase in income would be not to the full extent that should be. So either way, this is something that we either way know, even if you're not student of economics. But let's just simplify this thing now. Let's just proceed the diagram wise. So herein what would happen is this. At the given rate of interest R0, government expenditure we know is autonomous. So at given rate of interest, IS shift rightwards, and ideally income should be going from 0 till here, Y1 hash, that is right up till here. But when income goes up, we know it leads to higher transaction demand for money. When transaction demand for money increases, it means money demand exceeds money supply. It means it would put upward pressure onto the rate of interest. That's how rate of interest would increase from R0 to R1. Now when this happens, it would lead to decline in investment, because we know investment is inversely proportional to the rate of interest. So when investment demand decreases, so what would happen? Aggregate demand would fall, and that's how income would decline from this to here. This is exactly happening here. And when this happens, number one, how to re-equilibrate the money market now? Because of the increase in the initial income, transaction balance has either way gone up, but because interest rate has gone up from R0 to R1, so speculative component of the money demand would fall. This is number one. Number second is because of decrease in the income level of the economy, transaction balance also would decline, and that's how we'll be seeing re-equilibrium in the money market. So I'm sure this was either way simple. If you haven't gotten over it, please try watching it again. It's really simple, and this is needed because the questions that are being asked in the UPSC, they are not so simple that please explain the model. No, they're gonna be giving us certain situations, so we need to be very thorough with what exactly is happening behind this diagram. So I think this much is enough. And please read the Froyen on your own. You will be having more understanding, greater clarity. That's it. Let's get on to the next thing now. That is effects of an increase in taxes. So if there is an increase in tax by the government, number one, IS curve would shift leftward. This is we have already studied. Now let's understand how it's gonna impact the equilibrium level of income and rate of interest in the economy. Number one, at the given rate of interest, income would have fallen from Y0 till here, somewhere over here. Alright. But when this thing happens, then transaction demand for money would have gone down. When money demand is less than the money supply, this would put downwards pressure onto the rate of interest. And when this happens, then there are two things. Number one, because of reduced rate of interest in the economy, the investment demand would increase. And when this happens, the equilibrium income in the economy would go up, and this is what exactly been shown here. The fall in income is not to the tune of from Y0 to anywhere over here. Rather, the decline is only to this this much y0 till y1 because of the obvious reason, because there is a downward pressure onto the rate of interest, and that causes an increase in the level of investment in the economy, and this is what compensates the original fall in the IS curve due to increase in taxes. But we need to re-equilibrate the money market as well. We have seen because of the decline in the income of the economy, transaction balance has gone down, and that has what put downward pressure on the rate of interest. But because we are seeing that the level of income has gone up now from somewhere over here till here, so transaction balance would go up now. But because this entire decline has not been compensated to the full extent, so still we need to increase the money demand, because either way income has fallen from y0 to somewhere over y1. So how to compensate the falling transaction balance component now? Through the speculative balance, because the rate of interest has gone down from R0 to R1, that would put upward pressure on the speculative balance, and that's how two components of money demand, that is speculative balance plus transaction balance, would again be equal to the money supply, and this is it. So this was not really confusing. And also, if you're writing any college exam, then you really don't need to explain this much. This would suffice that with the given LM curve, increase in taxes would lead to leftwards shift in the IS curve, and that's what make the rate of interest go down and income also go down. This is what's going to happen in case of increase in taxes. But if you are studying this for optional, then analysis is something that we have to do, and either way it's not difficult. All we have studied is this, that the moment taxes go up, IS would shift leftwards, then what's going to happen. So if we want to keep the interest rate at R0, at the given R0 rate of interest, that is original rate of interest, income might have fallen from Y0 to somewhere over here, and that would have caused reduction in the transaction demand for money. Money demand is less than the money supply. This would put downward pressure on the rate of interest. This is why we are having R1 as rate of interest. But the moment this happens, investment demand in the economy would go up, and that's how income, instead of falling all the way from Y0 to somewhere over here, it would fall only up till Y1. That's it. So what we are seeing is, when we are talking about LM as well as IS curve, that is money market and goods market, and we are seeing their forces acting into the entire thing simultaneous, that they're cancelling out each other. This is what we are studying right now. So any impact would be cancelled out by the simultaneous interplay of these two market forces. That's it. So I am sure this is either way obvious. This should be simple to understand, but still, if you are finding it difficult, then let me know in the comment section. I'll try to explain it once more, and please read the Froyen on your own if you haven't gotten it. Let's talk about the last thing now, that is effect of an autonomous decline in investment. Nothing difficult here again. Autonomous decline is investment is just as the decline in the government expenditure, because in case of G as well, G is not dependent onto the rate of interest, but because we're talking about academic book here, so let's talk about autonomous decline in investment. So basically an investment that is not dependent onto the rate of interest. So if this happens, what's going to happen? First of all, at given rate of interest, investment would fall. This is either way simple. It would shift leftwards. So from I0 to I1 we have reached. Alright. Let's look at this diagram now. So LM curve is there. Nothing's going to happen to LM curve. We're talking about the investment, and we know investment is a part of the IS curve. So originally IS curve is here at I0. Moment autonomous investment declines, please write autonomous word along with the investment. IS curve would shift leftwards. So now what's going to happen? At the given rate of interest, R0, income might have fallen from Y0 to all the way up here, down here. But when this happened, and again transaction demand of the money would fall, money demand being less than the money supply, it would put downward pressure on the rate of interest, and when this happened, investment in the economy would increase. Now what sort of investment? Induced investment, that is investment that is dependent upon the rate of interest. So although autonomous investment has been declined, autonomous investment has gone down, but interest rate induced investment has gone up. बस यही फर्क है. इधर गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर की बजाय हमको autonomous investment लिखना है, और while writing investment goes up, we need to explicitly mention that interest rate induced investment goes up. So again, this is the same thing. When it goes up, then because it's part of aggregate demand, so income level in the economy would go up, so it would cancel out the initial decrease in the income. So decline in income would be from Y0 to Y1 only and not to somewhere over here. And when this happens, then definitely little bit of transaction balance demand would again rise, and because interest rate has fallen, so speculative balance of the money demand again would increase, and that's how money demand would again be equal to the money supply. This is either way simple. This we already studied while talking about the tax thing. Alright, now one more thing is there that author tried to explain, and this is here. The author has tried to explain here one case wherein, let's suppose we just want to make sure that income level in the economy stays at Y0. Let's assume that Y0 is the full level of income in the economy, full level of equilibrium. And the moment there is autonomous decline in the investment demand, we really want to go back to the original level. Then how can we go back to original level? By reducing the rate of interest from all the way down till R2. When the interest rate falls from R0 to R2, we'll be back at the original level of income in the economy. And this is what the classical notion is. They are of the view that interest rate in the economy is highly flexible. The moment anything happens that can cause any disturbance into the full level of equilibrium in the income, interest rate gonna get itself adjusted and will be back into the full level of employment or income. But we are seeing right here that this is not how real economy works. The adjustment is not complete. So classical case is there. Had it been the classical case, then interest rate would have fallen from R0 to R2 and we would be back at the original level of the income. But again, this is not how it is. This is just one thing that author has tried explaining in its book, and I don't know how much utility it carries, but either way we are sticking to the book, so I have explained this. But herein classical notion is not getting effectuated because rate of interest is not getting adjusted from R0 to R2, rather only from R0 to R1. That's how we are not back at the original level of income, rather we are at the Y1. So we are done with this entire thing. In tomorrow's lecture we will talk about certain more things, that is how effective the monetary and fiscal policies are into bringing about equilibrium in the income and rate of interest. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.